So therapeutic water properties. I call it therapeutic water properties. What does that mean? Because any water, if you're in the desert, any water will probably save you and keep you alive. Being alive is one thing, thriving is another thing. Would you agree?
Yes.
So we've all been alive before we became familiar with this technology. Would you agree?
Yes.
Were we less thriving than we are today?
Yes.
Right. So for the body to thrive, the body has to receive incredible amount of nutrients, phytonutrients, antioxidants to help us deal with everyday stressors. And so the phenomenal thing about the water that will provide therapeutic value, and this is, I'm not saying this just because it sounds really good, I'm saying this because it does have scientific backing. There is over, I think, 700 different research papers on hydrogen-rich water, ionized hydrogen-rich water, and on about 170 different physiological elements. So it discusses 170 different disease states from about 700 different papers. So which are possible that are done. There's lots of compilations done by Korean scientists. There's lots of compilations done by a scientist from Japan and universities and so forth. So what makes this water, therapeutic water, regular from regular water? So if we're thinking regular water, we're just thinking H2O, an ability to just hydrate on some minuscule level. When we have all of this, qualities presented in your water, you having antioxidant, electrically alkaline, and the water that is restructured, that has an electrostatic charge, that water becomes very therapeutic for the body. So it goes beyond than just keeping you alive. It helps the body to heal itself. So let's start with the first property, ORP, oxidative reduction potential. So ORP stands for oxidative reduction potential. The best way to remember is whether the beverages that we're testing have the potential to reduce oxidation. So whatever you're measuring has the potential to reduce oxidation. What is oxidation? Oxidation is free radical damage. Oxidation is influx of oxidizing molecules. They can cause damage to a healthy organism. So what are free radicals? Free radicals are essentially molecules or substances and elements that will have a desire to steal electrons and oxidize healthy tissue or healthy cells, or steal electrons from molecules to essentially rob you of their vitality. So antioxidants are the substances that will help deal with oxidation and free radical damage. So think about free radical damage equals oxidation. What do we get free radical damage from, or oxidation from? Food, so toxicity in the food, so whether food is heavily processed, has chemicals, pathogens, or has coloring, preserves, and things like that. If it's not bioavailable, understood by the body, if the formula of your food is not understood by the body, it will cause free radical damage. What else? Stress. So mental, emotional stress, be it relationship problems, driving into today's traffic, having work issues and projects, and having extra stress. Non-sleeping is a really, really large oxidizing, free radical damaging state. Excessive exercise. As a matter of fact, exercise or anything, a lot of things in the body cause oxidative damage. Oxidative stress is normal for the body in a certain amount. It's normal for us to have oxidative responses, and the body, even respirations, the respiration will produce some free radicals in the body. But it's when the body doesn't have an ability to deal with excess of that is when we start slipping away into the disease state. So what else causes oxidative stress? Pollution. So air pollution, right? Poisons, yeah. Cigarette smoke, fantastic. You guys are awesome. So all of that causes free radical, oxidative stress. So let's take a look at this chart. We have neutrality. Then we have things that are oxidizing us. A lot of the times the foods or waters or substances that don't have antioxidants and usually have different chemicals, be it plastic chemicals, and BPA, BPB, BPC, BP, whatever. They just replace, they would first acknowledge one. It will take them a long time to acknowledge one, and they'll replace it with another toxin. The problem is plastic bottles are made with petroleum. We're not supposed to be eating petroleum substances. And so then you have oxidizing molecules here and free radical damaging molecule. What about tap water? We talked about chlorine and hundreds of other chemicals that are allowed in our environment and in our water. And then of course we have sugary substances. We have chemical substances and other things that we're drinking. So coloring agents and so forth. So what about antioxidants? So we know the vitamin C will be approximately about 50, and there's arguments, I guess it depends on the quality of vitamin C. Then we have green tea. The good green tea will actually measure to minus 37, but let's say we got the most beautiful, brilliant, wonderful green tea and it's a minus 100 and it's been prayed over, used with Kangen water, I don't know. But let's minus 100. And the further to the right, or on your left you're going, the more antioxidant the substance is. So let's just have some fun with an ORP meter. So as I said, the meter that will measure the potential to reduce oxidation. So this is something you can purchase in any aquarium store or online. There is no trick to this. I will test all these waters, guys. Many of you cannot see my table, so I'll raise the glasses once I do the testing. What I have in front of me is the kind of a lineup of beverages that are very commonly found in majority stores. So whether you go to 7-Eleven, Superstore, or Whole Foods, or Urban Fare, or whatever, it doesn't matter how fancy or simple the store is, you will find all of the substances in those stores. You've probably all had Dasani water before, have you? Yeah. You've had Aquafina, Fiji, Smart Water. Has anybody tried like vitamin waters and sports drinks? Yes. Yeah, majority of us. So this just represents, if we had all of them here, you know that there are thousands of different options and varieties today. We just picked the most common one, the most marketed, or the ones that probably make the most amount of money on lack of awareness the society has. And so this is just examples. So I'll have Aquafina and Dasani demonstrate us the waters that are reverse osmosis waters or distilled waters. Then we have spring waters. Then we have Smart Mall water. I don't even know the way it's produced. Then we have all of the representation of all the sports drinks. How many of us drank this before and thought this was the best thing on the planet? Yeah, I was one of them too. Okay, we'll talk about that. And then of course, 7-Up will represent all sodas without coloring agents. So just so we can test on it. So it will be a good option for us, a good way for us to see how it's made, what it does in the body. Then we have Vancouver's finest, or Burnaby's finest tap water. Good job, George. We have a man close the bottle and a woman trying to open it.
Yeah, now you know how it is.
I know, poor Diane. I'm joking. Great job. Thank you so much, George. All right, so I'll have this beautiful ORP meter. I'll put this probe, so this is a very sensitive probe. It will start measuring on where we fare on the scale. So if I'll put the probe in the first one, what do we see? What do we have here?
Positive
Lovely people in the front.
Positive 800.
Are you kidding me? Positive 800.
Well, it's gone down a little bit.
790. That's for your green selling bottle of Dasani. Dasani. Wow. Guys, and the longer your bottle sits somewhere on the sun, in the, anywhere, stored anywhere on route, exposed to sunlight or heat, the more of the petrochemicals will leach into the water and contaminate it further and oxidize. Let's take a look at Aquafina. What do we have for Aquafina? 760. Wow. So yes, it's a plus. There's no minus in front of it. Would you agree? There's no minus in front of it. So 750 for Aquafina. Let's take a look at Fiji. One of the most expensive waters on the market. So 650. A little bit better. Is it good enough for us? No. Let's take a look at Smart Water. How smart is our Smart Water? 640-ish. 640 for Smart Water. I think this meter is really sensitive. I like it. Gatorade. So think about Powerades, Gatorades. 750. Why? Because we have a lot of substances here that I don't believe as a practitioner, as a natural health practitioner, are the best for your body. I'll say that. There's water, the second ingredient there. The largest one is sugar. Dextrose is another form of sugar. We have citric acid. We have salt, sodium citrate, monopotassium phosphate, and modified cornstarch. All the beauties of genetically modified substances and artificial sugars, all packed into one container that are supposed to help you in performance. I recommend you make your own electrolyte drinks using natural minerals, vitamins, and superfoods. So let's take a look at celebrated Pellegrino, or think about per year. What are the numbers here? 600. So positive 590. Freshly cracked Pellegrino. So it does originally come from spring. So it probably has some minerals. It was probably clean enough or taken care of in terms of that. It's in a glass bottle, so that's great. The problem is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a very oxidizing molecule, and this is not naturally occurring. This is infused into this water in a very, very large amount. So under pressure, and a lot of carbon dioxide makes it put into this water so that it gives us that fuzzy, funny feeling, right? So it's not natural for us. Your breathing, your respiration produces carbon dioxide as the byproduct of your breathing. So breathing in oxygen, breathing in air, you use oxygen and you perspire or you excrete carbon dioxide. You don't want to be putting it back into your body if it's not naturally occurring, especially in such large amount. What about carbon dioxide plus sugars? What do we have for sodas? That's fascinating. It's actually less than some of the bottled water right now. Well, again, this test, the ORP meter test one of many items, one item out of many substances in the water, so it doesn't necessarily pick up on certain molecules. But soda will be the worst thing you can drink. Soda, carbonated beverages, because of sugar, and we know that sugar is cancer-causing, because of different chemicals that are added for flavoring and for coloring. In this case, we don't have any coloring, but there's lots of flavoring agents and other substances. So what about tap water? Burnaby? 535. Okay, so still positive, right? All of them are off the charts. Guys, did you notice? We don't even have 500 on the chart. So, and let's take a look at the water that I hope you're drinking today. Just for those of you who don't know, there's water at the back so you can fill up your glass and enjoy it through the seminar. Should I leave it there? So does everybody see a minus and it starts growing? So it went from plus 500 and it started rapidly to going to a minus, and it keeps growing in the minus scale. So what do we have there?
Minus 600.
Minus 600. If I was probably to put a probe into a bigger container that's fresher because I wasn't pouring it, minus 700. So again, when I'm pouring something, I'm exposing water to more oxidation, and therefore less antioxidants are left in it. So hydrogen will react with it, so the fresher your water, the higher the hydrogen and antioxidant content of which we'll talk about. So let's take a look at antioxidant values. A beautiful slide by our wonderful Roger. Major antioxidants. So water is a major antioxidant. This is a scale that has a magnitude or a multiplication of 6.9, and when you're increasing 100, when you're taking 100 point strides. So when we're looking at something that is minus 100, like the best green tea out there, or the best highest quality vitamin C, even though I haven't seen them this high, but let's assume, and let's be very conservative, how many of these substances you have to consume to get the same amount of antioxidants as you do in a hydrogen-rich Kangen water? Was it minus 200, where we have to consume, 7 times the substance? Or was it 300, where we have to consume 48 glasses of green tea? It was actually all the way down to minus 700. So think about how many wonderful substances and what amount you have to consume to get the same amount of antioxidant. And the beautiful thing about the antioxidant in this case is this is a hydrogen molecule. It's very antioxidant. It's one of the smallest molecules, And one of the smallest molecules, and it's one of the most potent ones. It will get in the cell. It can bypass any tissue or any barrier. It can easily reach brain-blood barrier. It can easily reach intracellularly into mitochondria. So it's a very, very, very small molecule, very potent, and we can all benefit from it. And the beautiful thing, I have not seen any research that shows any negative side effects, toxicity, or an ability of the body to excrete it. As a matter of fact, the breathing alone, if you have too much hydrogen, you will just easily excrete it. So there is no cytotoxicity, or there is no overload of hydrogen that you can get. And as a matter of fact, the deep divers will use a very high, I think 90%, I think 98% of hydrogen content to go really deep down underwater, and they function really well because of it. That's what allows them to function. So you can't really overdose on hydrogen as a fantastic antioxidant. So when we think of antioxidants, what do we usually think of in food?
Blueberries.
Blueberries, acai berries, goji berries, glutathione, vitamin C, green tea, all of these different beautiful superfoods, green foods, organic, of course, or healthy, without chemicals on them. So when we're thinking of all these antioxidants, what does the body have to do? The body has to take that antioxidant in, so it has an antioxidant food or substance in, break it down, and then utilize some of those substances and molecules to create antioxidant in the body, like glutathione. So for example, the body has to work at processing your food, digesting it, and then using those antioxidants to help you deal with oxidative stress. The beautiful thing about hydrogen, it doesn't require any work. It goes right in without causing any work by the body, or without the body having to put any effort. So this does make for one of the most ultimate, beautiful, most bioavailable antioxidants out there.